Hi guys, Nomis here. Welcome back to Nomishavn for episode number 43. It's been a while since I've been in this city, and I've got some fun builds planned. I'm filling out a large area between the train station I built last time and the central business district, putting right up to the highway which pokes above ground right here. The main build, which you could have probably guessed, will be a big university hospital. Its location is pretty strategic, with easy access to the highway right here. But of course the original hospital building predates the highway by many decades. I'll also fill in with lots of city blocks and some parks and schools. And right next to the train station, another football stadium. What you've seen me doing on screen is setting up a roundabout to help traffic flow between the highway and the wide avenue, especially now that the big hospital will be built right next to it. And I do some detailing on it using IMT as always. Before I get started on the hospital, I also fill in a gap by this park I built right by the business district. Just a simple high-rise residential development. I'll be back in a bit to talk about some inspirations for the hospital. For some inspiration for this hospital build, I want to take a look at Haukeland University Hospital, which is the main university hospital in Bergen, my hometown in Norway. So obviously it sits like on a hilltop or like a hillside, so the terrain is very different, and I'm not going to try to copy this one by one because I don't really have the right buildings or anything, but I just want to look at small little details around for inspiration, just to get ideas of how an actual real university hospital can look like. So first we have this main building here, like this big modern structure, which you have a really good asset to step in for that. And next to it you have this old building, which is like the old hospital building, which is also part of it. And everywhere you have these sky bridges which connects all the different buildings. You have the old building, and with this is, I think, part of the university, so like the medicine faculty, which I will use the School of Medicine to emulate in the game. And you have more sky bridges just everywhere. You got some laboratories here, I think, and the library. Yeah, just a lot of inspiration, just a lot of big buildings tightly packed together, and all of it is connected by sky bridges. And some interesting features that I want to take inspiration from. You have this helipad, which you can see it kind of hangs out from the roof. It's not directly on the roof, and it's supported by these trusses underneath, which I'm gonna try to do something like that in the build. It's also got this really interesting roof terrace with a lot of like greenery, flower planters and all of that, and some benches. I believe it's a bit hard to see all the details here, but I want to take this idea and just try to make it work with the assets I have and the space I have on the roofs. So without further ado, I'm just gonna get into the game again and see how we're gonna take all these ideas together and make it into something cool. The first thing I built was this surface parking lot in front of the hospital area, but I changed my mind about this later and made a lot of changes to it. More on that later. For the main part of the hospital, I used 3 different assets from the workshop, and the most prominent is this tall hospital building from Berlin, which I think looks great and really fitting. There's lots of moving around both the buildings and the road, because I wanted them to be close enough to make sense. At the back I put down the School of Medicine, which will be the university campus part of the hospital, and also of course gets direct access to the hospital through sky bridges. I should mention this road I connect directly into the roundabout at some point is meant for exclusively ambulances, and I set up this way in the TMPE mod. To the left of the main part of the hospital across the road, I got this nice classical looking hospital, which is the original hospital building, and is still part of the complex today. It's just not the main building anymore. I imagine it's a center for some medical specialty.
Big sunshine and new life in the way I need.
Promised I go back to change this surface parking lot. It didn't really make sense, as it was a bit of a waste of space and in no way had enough capacity for a hospital of this size. Even with great public transport, a hospital like this needs quite a bit of parking. While I delete the bigger parking lot, I'll keep the small one to use as a parking lot for ambulances, as I think it makes sense for them to have dedicated space right here. The other end though, I instead use the space for an entrance for a large underground parking lot, which realistically this hospital would have. I'm using a 2-way highway road so people won't walk here. To get functional parking I use these underground parking assets, which are just 1x1 blank buildings with a lot of parking spaces, like 64 each I think. After tunneling a bit I place a sunken road directly below the hospital building and spam down a few of those parking assets. And I run a path up to ground level and through the entrance, so people can walk out this way. So it looks like there is an elevator and stairs connecting the underground parking lot to the hospital building. And it works out pretty well actually. Here I'm just putting together the helipad, which is inspired by what I saw on Google Earth. I got a helipad prop from the workshop, and for the trusses I used the bridge pillars from the metro network, and just used PO to change the texture and adjust them. And finally just some simple stairs and elevator props, which make it all come together. I decided to put one on each side of the building for some symmetry. The roof terrace was a really fun project, and I never would have thought to do this if I didn't see this on a real hospital, which I talked about earlier in the video. I used a square asset which is made for PO and apply a nice tile texture which serves as the floor of the roof terrace. And the main part is just lots of planters with a bunch of different flowers. I try to put the door props wherever they make sense, and fill in with some benches and trash cans and other props. Finally, I always like to try to make places like this functional, so I dragged some pots all along the roof terrace, which then went through the door props and through the building to connect down to street level. To get people to want to go there, I put down some raisable park people generators and aligned the height with the pots. I was really happy when this worked out, even if I kinda knew that it would work. It's time to get into some more detailing around the hospital on ground level. And it was looking a bit grey and bland. I went through and found some really nice tiles which I covered the area around the buildings with. Often I use IMT for this kind of detailing, but I didn't want the sidewalks here to have the tile. Really just a square area in front of the buildings, while the sidewalk still had the regular pavement. It creates an interesting contrast, I think. Otherwise it's just lots of planters, bike parking, and a few little green areas with trees. And the green areas are bordered off with some curbs for the extra detail. There was a line on the metro which ran directly below the hospital, so it made perfect sense to put a station here. This was probably no surprise, as you might have seen me put down quite a few metro entrances already around the area. I paused the game not to break anything, and then I deleted some tracks with Move It, and tried my best to align the station with the tracks already there. And then it was just a simple task of connecting it up with the tracks. Detailing the station, I keep it very simple. Just the normal station name signs, a few ads on the walls and the metro maps. And naturally this station will be named after the hospital. across the road I extended out the medical campus with 3 more buildings, and 2 of them were quite perfect to merge together for a more interesting shape. It's an auditorium, laboratory, and library if I remember correctly. I'm using some different tiles here, but doing the same method of keeping the sidewalk just plain pavement. And again lots of planters and some open green areas. I especially like how the metro entrance came out, with its own little fenced area by a larger greeny space. This green space is probably where medical students hang out on nice days between classes. I filled out a lot of city blocks in the surrounding area, and to start off I wanted to get the road layout in. It's quite gridded, but in no way is there a standard grid size. And of course there's plenty of places where the grid is broken up by diagonal or curved streets. I don't have lots to say about the building of this. It's mostly city blocks of apartment buildings, some schools, a church and some smaller parks. I cut out a lot of this because it gets a bit repetitive, but I tried to show bits of it, as well as some more challenging, non-gridded blocks, and a bit of the detailing of course. For the church I used IMT to fill in the entire area with a nice tile decal, making it into its own little palazzo, plus lots of planters to make it nice and inviting. This small triangle block is really awkward to build anything in, and I could have gone the easy route by making it a small park or plaza. But I like a challenge and merged together some small buildings that looked like they really had to conform heavily to the challenging street layout. So I just want to pop back into Google Earth for a bit to look at some inspiration for a park I'm about to build in the game. This is Olaf Ryes Plass in Oslo in Grünerløkka district, and it's a pretty small park, but it's got really interesting design. The main part I'm taking inspiration from is you see this pretty interesting path design. It's this big circle around here, and it's got these diagonal paths going through. And you can see it here, but it's like a small fountain in like a smaller inner circle of paths going around in the middle here. And then you got this statue here with some benches and some paths going out to it as well. And of course you got lots of big trees, which I'll be doing as well. Some bushes and hedges. And you got this small little restaurant here, which is called Grünerhaven, I think. It's a very small restaurant building, and it's got this outdoor seating area, which is pretty much... oh, sorry about that. Let me back up. You can see the outdoor seating areas basically inside the park itself. So that's something I'll be taking inspiration from as well. So I'm not gonna talk anymore. I'm just gonna go right in the game and you can see me building this nice little park. Sofienberg Stadium is the home of Sofienberg Football Club, which has been here in the Sofienberg neighborhood since they founded in the 1930s. The spot for the stadium has always been right here next to the train station. As you can probably tell, it's a fairly modern stadium, and it was finished in the early 2000s, after the original stadium was seeing some problems and the only choice was to build a new one. Now it's an iconic and loved part of the neighborhood, and a big attraction for both locals and visitors. Because of the very central location, the team only has their stadium here, while the training facilities are at another place, more to the outskirts of the city. I've used a copper bowl asset for this stadium, and it's a really amazing asset which looks perfect for what I want. The only thing I added to it was some sponsor logos down along the sides of the court, and a few screens above the seats. All around the stadium I make this big plaza with big planters and some nice tiles. There's also a very old looking statue in front, which I imagine predates the stadium from when there was a smaller plaza in the spot. And the statue of course had to be preserved for historical reasons. After I finish the detailing by the stadium, I fill out more city blocks. It's more of the same I've been doing. Try to fill out the blocks as best I can, and adding some trees in the backyards. I also do some more detailing to make the streets come alive, with ground level shops and outdoor seating, where it makes sense. Lately I'm trying not to go overboard crazy with the detailing on every street, and make the building stand for a detail. I gotta make this compromise if I want to keep making this a big city. But of course I still need to do some detailing, just being very mindful about it. Anyways, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it if you made it this far. The city is getting pretty big now. It's reached 240,000 population actually, which is pretty exciting. My aim was always to make a big city that is also pretty detailed. We'll see how much further I can take that. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. A like, comment and subscribe would be greatly appreciated and help me growing the channel. I do also have a Patreon in case you wish to support me further. Have a great rest of your day and stay tuned for some cinematics.
In the heart of Scandinavia, by the northern sea, lies a port so grand and ancient, where history runs free. Nomishavn, a city old with wooden houses cobblestones beneath our feet, and harbors rich and rare.